Welcome to the world of chess. Welcome to Emergency Chess Room. Um, this episode we are going to be focusing on what we call capturing. Okay, today's focus is going to be on capturing. So you have to understand the term capturing. So I'll be showing you guys how to capture with. Let me start from the rook. In the other video I made, I explained to you guys how the rook moves. So I believe you should understand what I'm talking about. So we have a pawn over here. Let me just do a setup for you guys. We have a pawn over here, yeah, and you're being asked to capture any of these pawns with your rook. What's the first thing that will come into your mind? Where do I start from? Now, yeah, we all want to eliminate our opponent, right? We all want to eliminate the enemy. Let me not say our opponent. We all want to eliminate the enemy on the chessboard. So for you to win, of course, you have to eliminate the enemy. So how do you devise a plan? Now, you should know that the previous video I explained to you guys that this pawn captures diagonally. So if this pawn captures diagonally with a step, automatically, this black pawn cannot capture one of its kind. So automatically this pawn over here is defending this pawn. So this is the defender of this. So if you want to attack your opponent, attack the defender. Attack the defender, because if you happen to capture this one over here, this pawn, this other one is going to recapture your rook. Okay, this other pawn is going to recapture your rook. And most importantly, I want to let you guys understand how we evaluate chess, especially the pieces, how we evaluate the chess pieces. Now, the rook you're seeing right here have a total number of 5 points. Is valued at 5 points. 5 points for the rook. Let me position it here. The knight is valued at 3 points. A total number of 3 points. The essence of this point is because whenever you're going for an exchange, you have to calculate yourself. You don't just go and exchange anything you see. They all have their values. They all have their strengths. So the knight over here is valued at 3 points. The bishop over here is valued at 3 points. Same applicable to the knight. They have same points, the bishop and the knight. So 3 points, 3 points, 5 points. The same thing applicable to the next direction. 3 points, 3 points, 5 points. Now, this is the queen. This is why it's the most powerful piece. The queen is valued at 9 points. Like 9 powerful points. Are you seeing it? A combination of this bishop, this knight, and this other bishop. Okay? So that's to tell you how powerful the queen is. Now, the king is not valued with any points because it's not tradable. So always take notes. You don't trade your king. You don't trade your king. That's why it's not valued at any point. That's why it's also the most important piece on the chessboard. So you don't trade your king. Always protect your king. Do not trade your king. It's not even negotiable. Now, the pawns over here have a total number of 1 point. 1 point. Okay? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, all these points together, they are all valued at a total number of 8 points, meaning that this queen over here is more powerful than the 8 points combined. Are you seeing? So whenever you're playing a game of chess, you should know how to trade. No, you don't just use anything and capture anything. No, always know these things, okay? These things are very, very important. Now, I was telling you guys about capturing with the rook. Now, this is the rook, and we have a pawn over here. Now, I've told you now, this is the defender. This pawn over here is defending this. Sorry, is defending this. Alright, now if you want to capture, you go for the defender. Alright, go for the defender. Now you have two moves to capture this pawn with this rook. Now how do you do it? If you have any idea, you pause the video and reply in my comment section. Alright, let's continue. Now, how do you capture this pawn over here? Now, you're being asked to capture this pawn over here in two moves. The first thing that will come into your mind is the movement of the rook. The rook captures according to its movement, its legal movement, okay? I told you guys it moves forward and sideways, right? Towards any direction, as long as it's a forward movement and a sideways movement. So if you want to capture, you have two ways to capture this pawn in two moves. One is going down here, one, and you go to capture, two, or going down here, one, and you go straight down to capture, two. Now you're gonna be like, why not capture this? Why going for this? I told you this is the defender. This is the defender. Now let's give it a try. I want to capture this pawn over here, this defended pawn. Now I'm going down here with a step. I'm capturing this with another step. Now, if you are to play as black, what exactly will come into your mind? I'm going down here, one, and I capture this. You know, I told you guys about this position. It's called what? An opposition. It's called what? An opposition. And whenever you see an opposition, the only thing that should come into your mind is capture with the pawn. Capture. So this pawn can capture this rook. Now, when you're making such trade, you should know that your rook you gave out for a pawn is the total number of 5. It's valued at 5 points, and the pawn you went to exchange your rook for is valued at 1 point. So I just hope you guys understand the whole setup. Now let's continue. This is for the rook, okay? So that's how the rook captures. Now let's go for the bishop. Let's use the black bishop. Now the same thing is applicable. If you want to capture this pawn, you can't capture this one, it's already defended. Now if you want to capture this other pawn over here, which is the defender, you should always go for. Now you're to capture the pawn in 3 steps, okay? Now how do you go about it? I told you guys that the bishop moves diagonally, only on the dark diagonals. Only on the dark diagonals. Are you seeing it? Only on the dark diagonals. That's how the bishop moves. Only on the dark diagonal. It can also come back, mind you. So that's how the bishop moves. Now, what should come into your mind is how to strategize. Now, how do you get to this defender? Let's give it a try. Move over here with a step, 1. Move down here with another step, 2. Now, some of you are going to be like, this is looking like an opposition. Yeah. But mind you, I told you guys that the pawns have nothing to do with their past, forward ever. They don't capture backwards, they don't move backward, they have no business with their past. Okay? So, it's very, very safe for you to capture this pawn towards the direction. It's very, very safe for you to capture the pawn towards this direction. Because if you're to go toward direction 1 and 2, then to capture. You know, after making this move, your opponent will have to play, right? He will definitely capture you, because this is what I told you guys now. This is what's an opposition. The setup is an opposition. So if your bishop should find himself here, the pawn can legally capture the bishop. All right. Yeah. So if you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. So I believe you guys understood the video properly. All right. Bye for now. We're going to continue the next episode. The next episode, I think we are going to be covering the queen and the knight. All right. Bye.